Hi, friends, and welcome to the Anniversary Podcast. I'm Mary, and this is a space where we celebrate another year, reflect on what it's taught us, and talk honestly about what it really takes to keep choosing each other. Anniversaries aren't just about marking time, they're about honoring growth. So today, I'm thrilled to sit down with Franco and Kenna. They reached out to me on Reddit, actually, which is like so weird about like all places to like try and find couples. So Franco, I'm actually kind of curious how, like, what drew you initially to come on to the podcast today?
I think it's equal mixes of, so first I'm on Reddit like every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you check my phone's apps usage, it's going to be like Reddit 4 hours a day. So I'm on so many subreddits, and then the SLC subreddit I'm on religiously. So I check at least once a day to kind of see what's going on and like just keep a finger on the pulse and see what's going on. So yeah, I don't know. I saw the post and I'd already taken part in a couple podcasts, and I thought it would be a cool idea for Kenna and I to take part in a podcast. And then I think in a moment of a bit more intimacy, I shared with you, like, I guess we've been together for 2 years. Our relationship could be a bit nascent to some people, but we've had a lot going on over the last, I would say maybe 9 months. And so I think this would be a good opportunity for us to kind of just sit down and reflect and really think about why we love each other. So
yeah, that's also so important, is to just kind of take them time to reflect, because I think sometimes we're always like, I wouldn't say like Salt Lake is like the biggest hub for like hustle culture. Maybe in like maybe in Utah County. Sorry to my Utah County friends, but like there's like a little bit of like a hustle, like not like a big hustle culture like back in New England or whatever. But I feel like there's this drive for progression and like always striving for something bigger and better, and it, like, and if you're not doing that, then something must be wrong. But I think sometimes pausing and reflecting is just so important.
Right.
And so you guys have been together for 2 years. You matched on Hinge. I'm kind of curious, what were your first impressions of each other on Hinge?
I'll let her go first because she has some interesting points.
Well, you know what? He was so cute, and he initially reached out about my tattoos.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, whatever. But I want to kind of fast forward to the day that we met.
Yes.
Because it's actually kind of funny. So, you know, he had all these pictures on his Hinge, and so cute, right? But I met him in person, and he was bald. And I was like, where did this come from?
How do you guys been like talking at this point?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, like, yeah, we had been talking, and like, you know, his pictures, like, he wasn't bald or he was wearing a hat, so I had no expectation of him being bald. But I met him, and he was bald, and I loved it. He's the first bald man that I've ever, you know, fell in love with, and I loved it. So
I bald fished, yeah.
He bald fished me.
That's so awesome. Was it like an actual like bald, like no hair, or was it just like a completely shaven head?
Completely just no hair, you know, just glass finish.
Skinhead, yeah, skinhead look. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But like, how did you guys like develop after that? Because I feel like first impressions, especially on dating apps, can be so nerve-wracking. Yeah. But I feel like once you like actually get the time to know someone from a dating app and like you guys just instantly click, it's so much easier to like form a connection after that. So what was that like?
So he initially reached out and he said, you know, we were talking about my tattoos, and he was like, you know, what if I got the date of our first date tattooed on me? And I was like, what? And so then he set a date of our first date, and we went out, and he was just so nice, you know, like I didn't have many expectations at the time. But, you know, like we went out probably a week later and found out he was bald. And you know what, we like had the greatest time. We were laughing and just having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take credit for that because part of the first date idea was we're supposed to bring 3 snacks that we would guess the other person would like.
Okay.
Just based off of that dating profile, right? And so we did that. And I think not the reason, but one of the reasons why the first date was such a success was because I brought my dog. So I think she fell in love with the dog as much as she did me.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's a half black lab and half wiener dog, so he's a very interesting looking.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
He also planned a picnic for our first date, and that was just like home run for me.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, like just like if you ever want to get a girl,
Picnic.
just so you know,
Do a picnic, yeah.
Picnic, snacks, and dog.
And hey, listen, a girl, like when there's a dog or like an animal involved, I think it's always like a sure sign that like it's a make or break situation. So you guys have been dating for 2 years, and like I'm sure like you guys have had a lot of ups and downs. Like you were sharing that there have been like just some hard times coming, and like how have you guys like communicated with each other? Because I think what I've heard from a lot of married couples, and not that it's bad or anything, but like they're just like, oh, you just have to communicate really well, and I'm like, okay, but like how do you do that?
Right.
So like what steps do you guys take to ensure that you're like fully understanding and fully communicating with each other? Because I feel like with those with long relationships, like there can be a bunch of miscommunication and just like really trying to get used to other people's styles of talking.
Right. And I think that's a good point, right? Having to get used to and accustomed to each other's communication styles is still a work in progress. Full disclosure, right? So I'm in mental health. So I'm a therapist. I've been a social worker for a while now. And so sometimes I try to make sure that I don't bring too much of like my professional life into my personal life. And then I look at things from that lens. But Kenna and I are very different in the way we communicate. We're actually really different in the way we react. We're different in the way we process. We're radically different in so many things. And I think being able to actually give voice to that and then figure out how we can come to a consensus and a middle ground has been great, right? So for example, I tend to take very long to process things. And then I really will take time to myself, whether it be hours in the past or in some extreme cases, it's been days before I'm like, okay, let's sit and let's talk. And I feel like I'm in a good place. While Kenna Ray is like, we have to address these things in the moment. And I think, again, we're trying to coalesce and kind of come to a place of understanding. And just because we've been able to voice those differences, I think we've been able to actually work on them a lot better than most. That's my point of view. I don't know what's yours.
No, I agree. I think we are different in that sense. And to say that to work on communication is everything, I mean, of course. But at the same time, you have to kind of come to a middle ground. And I always kind of think to myself, is this like a small issue or is this a big issue? And I try to remember that, because I tend to kind of overthink everything, and I unintentionally or maybe intentionally put it out on him, but I really do try to remember like this is my partner, this is what I'm fighting for, and is it really this big of a deal, or is it something that is worth fighting for, and that kind of stuff. So
I love how you said like separating the big issues from the small issues, because I think, and I've heard this like all over the place, but like sometimes like those little issues kind of pile up and pile up and pile up. Mm-hmm. And if they're like, it's still important to address like the little like issues and like get those out on the ground so it doesn't become a bigger issue. But like if there's actually like a fundamental issue, like that needs to be solved like ASAP. Right, yeah. And like what would you guys like for your relationship, what would you consider like a small issue versus a big issue? Like I obviously don't want to like harp on like what are all your guys' problems, but like it's more so like how do you differentiate between the two? Because I think some people are like, oh, the way he chooses like literally pissing me off, and like I don't want to have to deal with this for 27 years or however long, or like, I don't want to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. And so like, how do you guys differentiate between the small and the big issues?
I'll answer that.
Yeah.
Usually the way I differentiate it is a bigger issue is something that could actually affect our future. And that doesn't only have to do with whether we are still in this relationship or not. It can affect our careers, where we live, just big overall cliche planning, I guess. And then smaller issues are things that won't affect our day-to-day, right? I think they just have to, you have to learn how to live with those, is the way I see them. But that's what I do. I don't know what you do.
I think for context clues, of course, people don't know us, but we're in the process of trying to move after I graduate.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But, some of the bigger issues are, that we're having is, trying to find a place that we really want to spend our time at.
Yeah.
And the bigger issue is, my family's here, his family's in another place. And, some of the smaller issues that we have on a day-to-day basis is like, pick up your shit. You know what I mean? It's just, it's both of us, and I'm so happy that he's like a clean person, because I could never be with a person that's not clean. But it's kind of just that stuff. I mean, I think we do really well as partners, but, we have stuff to figure out, but I don't think it's things that aren't like not solvable.
For sure.
Sense.
No, that totally makes sense. I mean, I will say, I will digress. I am not the biggest tennis fan, but I have played my fair share of Wii sport tennis with like the doubles or whatever. And I feel like a relationship is kind of like that, where it's like, you guys have to both work together. You guys are doing separate things to kind of work, make the relationship work, but you guys are like, I don't know, like doing your own thing. Or maybe like a better version of that now would be like pickleball. Like 2-person pickleball. Are you guys pickleball players?
Well,
I was once upon a time. It feels like every tennis metaphor these days has to be a pickleball metaphor. It's kind of taking over. But yeah, we've played some pickleball.
I will tell you, he's a bit competitive, and I just started playing, and so some of the small issues, kind of like we were talking about, like I get so annoyed at him because he's getting like frustrated with me for not hitting it, and I'm like, listen, like I'm not an expert. You pretty much are at this point, so relax. You know? So those kinds of little
expert
small things.
pickleball player.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I feel like, and I love that, because it's like, it really takes, like, to be cliched, like, it really takes teamwork. Teamwork to make the dream work. I had to say it. But like, at what moment in your guys' relationship did you guys realize like, oh, like we're actually like a great team? Because I feel like, and like, this is something that I've just heard recently, is like, if you can see yourself doing like a group project with someone and getting an A on that group project, then I feel like you guys are set. Because you like, you have to work together to solve a problem and like create something or whatever, and like you just gotta work together, I guess.
Right.
And so like, at what moment in your guys' relationship have you like, did you guys realize like, oh, like we're a great team? Like,
when it comes to being a great duo, for me, it was when we actually started cleaning together. Because we've actually been in 3 different places now since we've started dating. Or I've lived at 3 different places. This is kind of our first joint venture together, I would say. But I do value cleanliness, and so does Kenna Ray. But in my experience growing up, I'm half Latino, my mom's Cuban. Whether it be cliche or not, they put a lot of emphasis into cleaning. And so I want to make sure that my partner also liked cleaning to an extent. And so the first time that we actually cleaned together, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. It was very cathartic for me. It wasn't even about like any dust puppies or making sure dishes are clean, just actually having someone who's like willing to clean with my music in the background. I'm like, we're set. So that was my moment.
Okay. This is like that pause break. It's what we like how we work well together.
Yeah.
Like the first moment we realized that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about that. I have to think about that. Not in a bad way, just
There's a lot of memories to go
there's
through.
a lot of, yeah. Okay. One of the first moments I kind of realized, it was actually on our first date, and this sounds so dumb, but he brought his dog, and something I really loved. I love dogs. I absolutely love dogs, and I kind of love like when people have just as much respect for animals as I do. And, you know, his dog ran up to, you know, a bunch of random people, and he ate a hot dog, like inhaled it basically. And, you know, like I was laughing at it, and, you know, he didn't get mad at him. And I was just like, you know, this is cool. That was probably a dumb example, but.
No, I think that's a great example of just like where you see something that's valuable to you in like a partner where, oh, he doesn't get mad at his animals.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, that's a big telltale sign for me in someone if like they're really angry towards like an innocent creature who's just like a very innocent in the way, in the sense of like not knowing like the full circumstances.
Because if they're innocent and I'm not, you know, like how is he gonna treat me, right? Like, not saying that I'm not, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah.
I love that. And I love how you guys have had like different examples with that, because I think like sometimes people like come in and like they have like all of these memories together, and like it's like this one moment in their where it's like this fireworks of like, oh, I know, but like I think it's important where like there are just like little different moments like throughout your relationship.
We haven't started looking like each other yet. I've seen those couples who've been together for decades, and then you can mistake them as siblings. I was gonna suggest we should have matched, but we didn't go that far.
I think you guys look great.
Do, but
have you guys ever done like a big like matching anything, like Halloween costumes?
We've had like joint Halloween costumes.
We did. He was Woody and I was Jessie from Toy Story.
Nice.
It's a couple Halloweens ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, what else did we do?
I think that's actually our only joint Halloween costume.
But we try to match in colors usually. I mean, he copies me mostly. We usually coordinate, but I mean, we're kind of matching.
Casual vibe is what we're doing.
I honestly, like when you guys walked in, I was like, dang, like these, like you guys felt like you were very comfortable together, and like you've had a lot of experiences that like have brought you close together. I kind of want to go like piggyback a little bit off it. It's a little bit of a tangent, but it's still kind of like this like reflective question of like not the like the moment that you realize something, but what's something about your partner that you admire about them? Like it can be a personality trait. I think it would mostly be about a personality trait, or like a little quirk that they do that you guys admire.
I think he makes me feel really safe. I know that's not like a personality trait, but he really does. He is like probably the first guy that has ever made me feel safe and comfortable within myself. Like no matter what I say or kind of how ugly I look, I thought, you know, to myself, he really does make me feel safe, and he makes me feel pretty most of the time. I say most of the time because I mean, yeah, no, he's just the best, and you know, he really never fails to like kind of make me feel like I'm loved, and that, you know, yeah, again, I'm safe with him. So.
Kenna is an incredibly compassionate person, so usually whenever someone's in need of something, she's going to be the first to like lend help and be there. So even though she's the youngest of her siblings, it feels like she's the one that's always there, whether it be for any issues that they may have, or her grandparents or her parents. it feels like people usually call Kenna first, and she always kind of drops whatever she has going on to help them. And so without getting like too big picture, but obviously when you think of being with someone long term and maybe having a family with them someday, seeing how they kind of go to bat for their family no matter what, that's obviously very encouraging. And she's like that for her friends. She's like that for me. She's like that for her family. If anything, sometimes I'm just mad at the world because it feels like people are not like that for her. But she will do anything for anyone. So,
well, geez, we could just end the podcast right there. What do you like? Because it sounds like you guys have noticed these traits about each other, and like, I mean, this is just maybe me inferring and like reading between the lines a little bit, but I also think you guys really have like influenced each other in that way where like Kenna, you've probably made him feel safe, and he's probably a very compassionate person. And I think like you guys just like radiate like a couple that grows together, even though like life circumstances might not be ideal or yeah. And so what are like little things like that have maybe changed? Like, okay, we're gonna redo that question. But how have you guys felt that you've influenced or changed each other in like a positive direction?
So I've lived here. I grew up here in Utah all of my life, and my whole family's here. And like I said, we're kind of thinking about moving after I'm done with school. And I've never really thought about that up until, you know, I met him and we are making this decision to move. But, you know, it kind of pushes me out of my comfort zone, and I probably wouldn't have done it if it weren't for him. And not to say that, you know, he's the whole reason I'm moving, but he really does kind of help me to be a better person. And not just with that scenario, but, you know, even during school, like he'll help me kind of through the process and help me through my emotions and dealing with weird people and mean people. And, you know, even throughout my family, he really does just help to support me and like help me to be a better person and like, again, push me out of my comfort zone. Yeah.
Going back to family, so she's kind of made me realize that family's a bit more important than I've kind of grown up being accustomed to. So I had a bit of a fragmented family where my dad's side of the family was in a whole different country, and then my mom's side of the family was also in another different country, and my mom and myself were here in South Florida, in Miami. And so the concept of family to me was kind of I wouldn't say a foreign one, but it was just fragmented. It was all over the place. And so when I started dating Kenna and I saw how important her family was to her, and I started going to all of her family events and family gatherings, of which there are many, I realized like, hey, like family is actually an incredible support system. I can see how they really shape people's futures and how they help people just become the best versions of themselves. And that wasn't something that I never really considered. I always found to be kind of cheesy and corny, and only looked at it from like what I learned in school, right? And what I learned through my professional life and how family can mess you up more so than not. So yeah, she's kind of forced me to look at things in a bit more of a family oriented view. And even besides that, right, I've never liked celebrating holidays besides New Year's, to the point that like I don't accept gifts during Christmas or any sort of Christmas adjacent holiday. And so that led to us butting heads a couple of times. And then on our first Christmas together, she said something that still sticks with me to this day, where she was like, hey, like, the world's a bit of a tough place, right? And if you want to have a family and you're not going to look for occasions to make sure that your kids are happy or they can celebrate things, and like, you sound like a bit of a Grinch. So I was like, okay, you're right. Like, I don't want to impart on my kids not to look for reasons to celebrate life or enjoy life. And so again, it was just a different take on family and a different take on holidays and things that I considered to be kind of mundane beforehand. So,
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
And so this is like kind of more so because like we've done a little bit of reflecting, like looking back on memories, trying to reach into our brains. What are you guys most excited for, like looking forward into the future? Obviously graduating, so congratulations there. But also like, and also moving, and maybe like not to like push them to the side, like because they are important, but like what other things are you guys looking forward to as a couple?
I think being like, getting our first house. Like I'm so
So
I'm so excited for that. I think we do really well together. Just as partners, but also just like throughout life. And I'm definitely one that I want to travel, and I hope that we can do that. I definitely want a family with him. And so I'm excited for that too. I'm just excited for everything that we kind of have going for us. And, I'm excited to just keep growing and keep working together as individuals and as partners.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything that you didn't mention. Yeah, I think the thing I'm most excited for does relate to moving, and it relates to challenging ourselves in a new place where we might not know anyone and where we might have to rely on each other and solely each other for the first couple of bits. And I think our relationship's only going to get stronger from that. So that's what I'm excited for. I know it's going to be a huge challenge, especially for Kenna Ray, because she's so young and she's always lived here in her cocoon, and it's a big step to kind of move out of state with a partner, right? But I just can't. I think of it literally every day. So,
But like it sounds like you guys are moving forward together.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like, oh, Franco's moving
Right.
to Colorado or whatever, and like Kenna's gonna stay here. But
Right.
it's like you guys are like kind of, or not kind of, you guys are a unit that are
Mhm.
like moving together now.
Absolutely, yeah. She's excited for graduating. I'm just as excited as she is for her to graduate, because that's kind of been goal. It's once she graduates, then we can finally kind of start thinking about transitioning. So
I will say, and not on, because we're not perfect by
Yeah.
any means. There was a point where, we were going through a really rough patch in our relationship, and, we were talking about moving, and there was a point where, we were almost about ready to call it quits, and he was gonna leave to a different state, and I was pretty like devastated by that. When you've like thought about your whole life and how it's gonna go for so long, and then it kind of comes to a halt or to a crash. It's devastating. And so definitely, like, as sad it is to say, like, at that point I just really knew that, like, this is my person. I don't know how I'm gonna like do this. I couldn't even imagine, like, just like being in a little condo by myself. Like, that's so scary. I don't
Yeah.
wanna do that. So,
that's where we
Yeah.
differ. She likes condos. I don't like condos.
Yeah, I don't want a condo, by the way.
Well, the market for townhouses is on the rise,
Oh,
so you might get a
works.
townhouse.
Yeah.
I don't know if like condos are like the same things as townhouses in your mind, Franco. But
To me, it's like selling out. Yeah, I see them as the same thing. Maybe I'm too like anti-capitalist and against the man. I'm like, I don't want a white picket fence. I don't want a 401k. I don't want to
I do.
contribute to
I do.
pension.
That's where we differ.
So,
That's okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I have
Yeah.
3 ending questions. These are kind of like rapid fire questions.
okay.
Are
Are we both supposed to answer them?
Yeah.
Oof.
So like these are like more so like advice driven questions for like the listeners, but also just kind of, it's like advice / reflective. So they're a little bit intense. So if you need a minute or need a moment to like think about it, that's totally fine too. But let's see. First one is, when things get hard, what is the core reason, that one thing about your partner and your life together that makes giving up not an option for you?
What is one thing that makes giving up not an option for me? Investment. I've invested a lot into this relationship, and I've gone through a lot of struggles to make sure that we work, and I'm here and I'm still standing, and I don't think there's anything that can take me down at this point. So
I'm gonna agree. Yeah, I think we've invested a lot of time and into each other, but I think for people that are struggling in their relationships and are maybe unhappy in their relationships and have invested all of this time, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stick together. Not saying that's the case for us. I'm just speaking into, maybe other people's situations, like, people that have been together for a long time and are extremely unhappy. That doesn't mean you need to be together. But we're happy, and, we have invested this time and we do love each other. So, I mean, I don't see a reason to break up.
I love it. I love that advice of just like, because I think investments are like one of those things where it's like a risk reward. Like, I don't know. I don't know that much about the stock market, so I can't like really say, but I'm I'm very like conservative with my money. Like, I don't like to put any risks in with it. Like, I'm not going to throw money at Dow Jones or whatever. But like, I think if something is worthwhile and you like invest in it with like your time, effort, and money, like, and like obviously there are lots more things like under those umbrella categories, but I think the more you invest into something, I think it's easier to see the risks, but it's also a lot easier to see the rewards in those situations.
No, really.
Also, if God forbid we ever broke up, but like, it'd be a real mess to divide all of our stuff. Like, he would probably have blanket. I'm just kidding.
Fighting words.
And
so, I mean, you guys have mentioned that there have been a few rough patches in your relationship. And so what's a practice or mindset that you guys have in your relationship that's helped you stay connected during those moments of like disconnect a little bit?
We're a team, right? We're not adversarial. There's no Kenna versus Franco, or who wins or who loses an argument. It's that's just an exhausting way to look at things. So even when we might be at opposite ends or strongly disagree on things, I think we usually, at least for me, I usually try to remember like, she's on my side. We're on the same team. We have the same goals, same ambitions. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for us to treat each other like opponents. That's my point of view.
Yeah, and I think, again, communication. I mean, I'm a big proponent of that. I mean, it's not always rainbows and sunshines. Like, I probably definitely nag him with my complaints, but I think it's important to kind of let your partner know, like, this is what's bothering me, and to be honest, I don't want it to ever happen again, kind of thing. And if it persists, then you keep talking about it. Again, it's kind of just going back to, is this a small thing or is it a big thing? Yeah.
I love that. And this is the big doozy question, and this is our final question for the night. So thank you guys for sharing your thoughts. But knowing what you know now, what is one thing you wish you could tell yourself on the day your relationship first began?
Ladies first.
We're still here.
Is that your advice? Ladies first.
No, he's a great guy, and he's worth every penny.
Oh,
so
you sound like my sugar mama. something I would tell myself then is like, stick with it. Don't look for signs to reinforce the idea that things might not work out. I like to say realistic, others might say pessimistic. And so a fallacy that I've encountered in this relationship, and that sometimes I come up with in life, is I usually kind of look at the drawbacks or the negatives or the cons of things before I consider the positives or the potential. And so I would have saved myself so much heartache and so much disappointment if I wasn't always looking for reasons to distrust the strength of this relationship. So.
I love that. Okay, Kenna, what would you say?
Sorry.
You're good.
Can't
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah.
Just one more time? Sorry.
So, knowing what you know now, what's one thing you wish you could tell yourself on the day the relationship first began?
Let's see.
He's gonna grow hair. He will be bald forever.
That your whole life is gonna change, for the better.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to help you get to a place that you've always kind of wanted to be at. And yeah, again, he's just kind of, he's worth it. He's worth fighting for, and he's worth a headache. So yeah, no, he's great. So stick with it.
I love that. I love it. Well, thank you guys again for coming on to the podcast. I feel like sometimes it's easy to look at like long marriages or like marriages that have been around for like 40 years and like they come on and it's like, oh, everything's so like I mean, obviously like there are hard things, but like they've grown to like really enjoy the positive. And so I really appreciate you guys being like just raw and open about your relationship.
Yeah, thanks for allowing us the space. Really, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, this would be good for us.
Fun.
Yeah. And so I just like want to remind our listeners here that like relationships aren't like a walk in the park. They take work and effort. But Kenna and Franco, where can people find you if they want to? I mean,
oh gosh.
If they want to. I mean, obviously, we can cut this part out if it's like
fine.
something.
I don't think do you have I don't really have much of a presence on anything.
Kenna Jones with 2 E's.
Okay.
So on Instagram, I'm not on Reddit. So
he is. Darn it.
Yeah, I have nothing. I have Facebook for family and friends, or to keep up with people I hate, and then.
Yeah, we're kind of boring. We're not like
Finsta to also
like
keep up with people I hate.
So, yeah,
that's okay.
And then my Reddit, which honestly is not something you get at. So.
That is totally okay. So thank you for celebrating this year with us. Anniversaries aren't just about how long you've lasted, they're about how you've grown. So whether you're married, dating, single, or somewhere in between, I hope this conversation inspires you to reflect on what you're building and to remember that love is less about perfection and more about intention. Another year, another layer, another opportunity to choose each other. And if you know a couple whose story should be celebrated, I would love to meet them. Send this episode their way and have them fill out the link in the description below so we can celebrate their next anniversary too. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.